What would happen if Pakistan decided to attack India? How would India respond? And most importantly, what would be the global reaction to such an attack? Well, let's find out. The Indian army is the second largest in the world, right after China, with 1.5 million active soldiers. Not only that, but India also has the second largest stockpile of weapons in the world. In fact, India is the largest importer of weapons globally. Needless to say, India is more than capable of defending itself. But let's assume for a moment that somehow the Indian army is completely neutralized. What would happen then? Well, first of all, Pakistan will have to face the wrath of India's nuclear arsenal. Although India has not tested its nukes since 1974, it possesses an arsenal of approximately 160 nuclear warheads, enough to wipe Pakistan off the map. Of course, such an attack would be retaliated by Pakistan, which also possesses nuclear weapons. However, Pakistan's arsenal is nowhere near as powerful as India's. It is estimated that Pakistan has around 160 nuclear warheads, although some reports suggest that the number could be as high as 300. Even if we take the latter figure, it is still less than India. Plus, Pakistan's nuclear weapons are largely ineffective against strategic and hardened targets, which includes India's nuclear power plants. So suffice to say, Pakistan's nuclear arsenal wouldn't be able to do much against India. So what if Pakistan somehow manages to neutralize India's nuclear arsenal? Well, in that case, India would retaliate using conventional weapons and the likes of which Pakistan has never seen before. The Indian Air Force alone has more than 700 combat aircraft, including the world's most advanced fighter jet, the Tejas, as well as a large number of American and Russian origin warplanes. Additionally, India also has the world's second largest stockpile of anti-tank missiles. Not to mention, India also possesses the BrahMos missile, which is one of the world's fastest hypersonic missiles. Basically, the Indian Air Force would reduce Pakistan into rubble in no time. But what if Pakistan manages to hold on for longer than expected? In that case, India could deploy its special forces, commandos, who would target and eliminate key political figures and military installations of Pakistan. Remember, India has one of the most elite special forces in the world. The National Security Guards, or NSG. These commandos are trained to carry out covert missions behind enemy lines. In fact, NSG commandos were the ones who eliminated Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, Pakistan. However, things could get messy if Pakistan seeks help from its so-called allies. Pakistan has been courting China for military support for quite some time now. In fact, Chinese companies are already in the process of supplying military hardware to Pakistan worth billions of dollars. If China decides to intervene, then India too might have to consider inviting Russia as an ally. After all, both countries share a close relationship. Russia is also a major supplier of weapons to India. In fact, more than half of India's arsenal consists of Russian weapons. So chances are Russia would want to safeguard its interests in South Asia. Plus, Russia has always maintained a neutral stance on the Kashmir issue. It remains to be seen whether China and Russia would actually intervene in a conflict between India and Pakistan. But if they do, then it is likely to escalate into a full-blown Third World War. However, even if China and Russia don't intervene, India would still have to face the wrath of the international community. You see, Pakistan has been trying to internationalize the Kashmir issue, and it has almost succeeded in doing so. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Malaysia, and Indonesia have openly taken sides with Pakistan. So India could face diplomatic and economic sanctions from these countries. Having said that, India's best bet would be to improve ties with its neighbors, especially with Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Maldives, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and the ASEAN nations. Strong ties with these countries would ensure that Pakistan does not find any support in South Asia or Southeast Asia. Furthermore, India should also try to improve ties with West Asia and Africa, especially with Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and the UAE. If India manages to garner support from these countries, then Pakistan's international campaign against India would fall flat on its face. In conclusion, an attack on India would be disastrous for Pakistan, whether it is conventional or nuclear. Pakistan would lose on both fronts, plus it would also lose diplomatically. However, if Pakistan somehow manages to survive India's retaliation, it would be a nuclear wasteland. There is simply no other way about it. Who do you think is going to take the win? Let me know in the comments.